What's up, everybody? Welcome to the first installment of a new segment we're calling The Hunt Recap. Now, in this segment, we plan to show you highlights, lowlights, and everything in between from our most recent hunts and trips. So without any further ado, let's get started with our first trip of the year, the Hunt Recap for Utah. This was a trip that Zane and I went on, and former cameraman and overall just good guy and longtime friend of In Pursuit, The Hunt, and Greg and I, Brach Pulver, moved to Utah recently. And he got a hold of me over the winter and said, hey man, I think I got a line on some good deer out here. If you're looking for an early season hunt, I'd love to have you. And I talked to Zane and we jumped all over that chance. As soon as he said mule deer, my mind was made up. We scouted it out a couple days, scouted the mountain public land and also some isolated public land that was just in some spots that fewer people knew about, and saw some good bucks. I was really surprised with the number of good bucks that were in the area. It really was one of those places that when we got up on a high point, I felt like I could look 360 degrees around me and see a big buck somewhere. Now, the majority of those big bucks were on private land, so that made it tougher to hunt them because, I don't know if you know this, but if you don't have permission, you're not allowed to hunt private land. What a shocker. But that didn't stop us from trying. Brach was constantly knocking on doors and calling folks and finding out, hey, can we hunt your property? And the overwhelming result may surprise you, and everybody said no. Now, that's not to say that there wasn't big bucks on the public, because we saw good bucks on the public land too. We had a really close call with one about midway through the trip. Zane and I slipped into pretty close proximity to him. We couldn't get a shot because the brush was a little thick and he was working away from us. He was on his feet and he was moving, and it's really tough to nail one of those big bucks down when they're on their feet. Side note here, I think one of the most important things of this trip for me was the relationship that Brach and Zane have. They have what I would classify as a true bromance.
Don't you believe clouds? Clouds hold rain, thunder, and lightning. All of which we sat in last night because you said, oh no, it'll split us.
I don't know if you know this,
we never get rain here.
but if we're in the cabin, we're not gonna kill a deer.
Real nice shit.
This is getting out there and getting to it.
Is that your new slogan? That one ain't gonna stick.
Yeah, that looks real classy.
I feel like I'm resisting.
I really think you're too worried about this rain thing.
Well, Brach, you lied to me once.
Once.
It's not gonna happen again.
You want a spree? They are delicious.
Start this machine.
You get real bossy when you get cold and damp.
It's not that they don't like each other, it's not that they don't get along. I think they like each other so much that they just can't help but constantly give each other a hard time. It's a beautiful thing to witness. And, you know, when I leave this earth, I will be a better person for being around Brach and Zane when they were together.
I'm just gonna let you know.
Oh boy.
I've seen 3 to 14 deer so far. Anywhere between 3 and 14 deer. Some of them could have been bucks.
But they weren't. They were 3 does.
But they could have been.
What, are you calling that dead one that was on the rack of that
Yeah, I
four-wheeler?
did. I saw a 2x2. What'd you see?
Now, the weather was also a big factor in this hunt because Brach had been in communication with me all summer long, and every time I talked to him, he was like, man, it's so dry out here. If we can just find the water, it's so dry. Well, when we got there, that changed. It rained every day but 2 days. In fact, one day, it rained more than it had all summer long. I don't think that impacted the deer hunting as much as it impacted how much we wanted to be out there. There was one evening where we completely called off our hunt entirely and just sat in the cabin. And that, ladies and germs, is why we are not hunting this evening. Overall, this hunt was great. It was a great experience. It was beautiful. It was scenic. It was something that we don't do a lot of. So anytime that we can put ourselves in that position and challenge ourselves in a different way, we're all about it. And now let's go to Zane live to get his thoughts on Utah.
It's tough, real tough.
Was that all that was it? That was all. Okay. Tough. He said it was tough. And we'll check back in with Zane later, I suppose. Now, even though we weren't successful, one of the reasons this hunt was so great is the fact that it is in the middle of August. There's nothing else going on. It's not like it's during the rut and you're spinning your wheels somewhere and you're like, wow, what are we missing? Something else is happening. There's literally nothing else going on anywhere this early. I think one other state has an earlier season than Utah. So it's a great hunt on a great time of the year, and if you happen to tag out, what a bonus it would be for content, because there's nothing else going on. So the experience was great, the time of the year was great, and it's with folks that I just love to be around. And that was one of the best parts of it for me. And now let's check back in with Zane live and get his thoughts on going back to Utah next year.
Absolutely, in a heartbeat.
Well, that about does it for the first installment of the Hunt Recap. Make sure you check out next time when we try and go 3 for 3 for 3.